Chapter 1980, The Abyss of Weak Water 3. Lou Karen's expression was extremely focused, but this time, her analysis was obviously slow. Zhang Yi wasn't in a hurry. He waited for the results while chatting with Yang Xinxin. The road ahead is long. Now that we've come this far, I really don't know what the next step will be. Yang Xinxin glanced at Zhang Yi, and a strange look flashed in her eyes. However, she still nodded, yes. But we've been through a lot of things like this, haven't we? Zhang Yi took out a pack of thin cigarettes from the dimensional space, opened it, lit one, and took a deep breath. Then he handed one to Yang Xinxin. Want one? Unexpectedly, Yang Xinxin took it, lit it somewhat awkwardly, and started smoking. The mint-flavored cigarettes had a hint of sweetness and were not very high in nicotine, making them very suitable for women. You smoke? Zhang Yi asked in surprise. I've never seen you smoke before. Yang Xinxin smiled sweetly. Before I met you, I used to do this to relieve my boredom. Zhang Yi's eyes twinkled with laughter. Oh? When was that? When I was at Tianqing College. Before I met you, I couldn't stand up because of polio, which was a terrible thing for me. But, she lowered her eyes, a smile in her eyes, then looked up at Zhang Yi, her eyes filled with admiration. Since I met you, my life has completely changed. Brother, you saved me. Being looked at so tenderly by a beautiful girl like Yang Xinxin, Zhang Yi's heart softened. He only felt that he had saved Yang Xinxin's life, but at that time, it was only because she was a top hacker who could help him. All the love and care he gave her later was simply because she had great value to him. Well, it was probably also because she was a cute and beautiful young girl. No straight man would not feel affection for such a beautiful girl. But in Yang Xinxin's eyes, those things didn't matter. She felt that it was enough that Zhang Yi was good to her. Even if she knew the reason why Zhang Yi was good to her, it didn't matter. A smart girl would find a good reason for it. Zhang Yi threw his cigarette into the weak water, and it sank straight down. I'm going to check on Karen. Zhang Yi pointed at Lou Karen and walked over. Lou Karen had also finished analyzing the weak water. There was a hint of confusion in her eyes. What's wrong, Karen? Did you find anything? Zhang Yi asked. Kangda also walked over. Yes, is there anything you can tell us? Lou Karen looked at them and said strangely, this is actually seawater. 99% of it is seawater. Plus 1% of some mysterious energy. Kangda said, what's so strange about seawater? Billions of years ago, the sea changed dramatically, and now the deserts and mountains could have been oceans. Maybe this place is actually a sea. Lou Karen shook her head. No, that's not it. I've studied the water quality of this weak water abyss and found that its composition is almost identical to that of seawater outside. In particular, the seawater near Fazhou is almost identical to that here. This is not a closed body of water. Lou Karen came to a conclusion. Perhaps this place is connected to the open sea. Zhang Yi recalled this area in his mind. The eye of the desert is very far from the ocean. How could it be connected to the open sea? Yang Xinxin walked over and explained, it's not impossible. According to scientific research, the demon's eye was once located in the ocean. Moreover, there is a theory that this place is the true site of the legendary Atlantis. Zhang Yi was a little confused. Wait, Atlantis? Then what about the ocean ruins that King Arthur and his team were searching for? The mystery was growing, and it was beyond comprehension. But if this place was actually connected to the open sea, then Fatty Sue's ability to freeze the seawater would make sense. The water of the weak water did not have any special properties, it just had a mysterious power that made this area of the sea a huge isolated zone. Lou Karen could only analyze the composition of the seawater and had no way to cross the sea. She didn't know how to break that mysterious power. You don't need to worry about that. The source of this power must be from the previous era, left behind by the super-powerful beings who sealed Mammon. We must not destroy it. Zhang Yi came here to reseal Mammon. To strengthen Mammon's seal. Mammon would break free sooner or later, but Zhang Yi didn't want that to happen now. At the very least, they had to buy enough time, preferably several thousand years. By then, Zhang Yi might already be dead, so who would care? Zhang Yi looked at Kang De beside him. Brother Kang De, what do you think about this? Do you have any good ideas? Kang De replied, I think this sea area needs to be dealt with in a special way. If you don't want to go back to Odibio, then wait for the people from the Holy See to arrive. They will definitely have a solution. After all, the people from the Holy See claim to have studied the Demon King for thousands of years, so they must be well prepared. Kang De meant that they should wait here. Shou Qi frowned and expressed a different opinion. But the people from the Holy See might be the ones who secretly attacked Zhang Yi in the first place. Can we trust them? Kang De was silent for a moment, but right now, we don't have many options. Besides, the spear of Longinus is still in our hands. They have no choice but to cooperate with us. Zhang Yi waved his hand dismissively. I think Kang De is right. There are no eternal enemies, only eternal interests. We have the spear of Longinus, so whoever wants to seal Mammon will have to cooperate with us. Anyway, we don't have any other good ideas right now, so let's stay here, think of a way to cross the sea, and wait for them to come here. With that, Zhang Yi handed Kang De a cigarette. Kang De looked down at the cigarette and smiled as he declined. No, I don't have that habit. Zhang Yi put the cigarette away. Yeah, I forgot. Come to think of it, we've known each other for so long, but I've never seen you smoke. He suddenly grinned at Kang De. Do you know why I started smoking? Kang De blinked and asked, why? Zhang Yi took a deep breath and said with self-mockery, at that time, I was pursuing Fan Yuqing. She mentioned that men who smoke are cool, so I learned how to smoke. Chapter 1981, A Sense of Discord. Kang De sighed when he heard Zhang Yi mention Fan Yuqing. You still can't forget her? He looked at Zhang Yi with sympathy and patted him on the shoulder. It's been so long, just let it go. Zhang Yi smiled bitterly. Forget? How can I forget? That was the most sincere relationship I've ever had. She was my girlfriend. Mr. Kang De, can you let go of your feelings so easily? Kang De couldn't answer this question and could only shake his head with a bitter smile. Forget it, who can say for sure about things like this? Zhang Yi lowered his head and rubbed his right thumb and index finger together. Ah, you're right. Kang De suddenly felt that Zhang Yi's tone was a little cold. So a guy like you should just go die. Zhang Yi looked at him, his eyes completely devoid of any warmth. Kang De froze, looking at Zhang Yi with a puzzled expression. The others around them also looked at Zhang Yi and Kang De in shock, not understanding why the conversation between the two had turned out this way. They were supposed to be the best friends on the team. Only Yang Xinxin, her dark eyes flashing with a strange light, kept staring at Kang De, but didn't react to Zhang Yi's outburst. Zhang Yi, what's wrong with you? Why did you suddenly lose your temper? Uncle, you wanted to mediate. Fatty Su also waved his hands frantically and said, don't fight, don't fight. Boss, aren't you usually the most rational one? He looked at Kang De and said, Mr. Kang De, Big Brother is just in a bad mood, don't take it seriously. Zhang Yi leaned against a rock and lit another cigarette, this time a man's cigarette. The light flickered and smoke curled around him. That's enough. Kang De, who are you? Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes and stared at Kang De. You're not one of my people. A strange look flashed in Kang De's eyes, but his face still showed surprise. Zhang Yi, what are you talking about? We've been friends for many years, why are you saying this? After saying that, he looked at Zhang Yi with understanding and said in a sincere tone, I know you've been under a lot of pressure lately, especially in this chaotic world, the burden on your shoulders is too heavy and it's making you think nonsense. But don't forget the bond between us. The others also looked at Zhang Yi with concern. Zhang Yi, what's wrong? Uncle, you looked uneasy. He didn't want to see conflict within the team. Shou Qi lowered her head. She felt that something was strange. Wasn't the relationship between Zhang Yi and Mr. Kang De the best? Moreover, Mr. Kang De had always been very helpful to Zhang Yi and was someone he respected. This shouldn't be happening. However, Zhou Qi would not question Zhang Yi's decision. As his girlfriend, Zhou Qi would always stand firmly by Zhang Yi's side. Anyway, what's going on? What happened? Zhou Qi looked at Kangda, then looked at Zhang Yi and asked, Zhang Yi, can you tell us why you said that Mr. Kangda is not your friend? Everyone was waiting for Zhang Yi's answer. Zhang Yi glanced coldly at Kangda. He raised the corners of his mouth in a mocking smile. I've never been in a relationship with Fan Yuqing. But when I just said she was my girlfriend, you didn't point out the mistake. A dark look flashed in Kangda's eyes, but he still smiled innocently. Hey, but you did have a relationship with her, didn't you? I thought you were just too deeply in love, so I didn't expose you. Zhang Yi, you're a little. He pointed to his temple. A little overreacting. You need to calm down. Kangda looked concerned. Everyone was confused, looking at Kangda, then at Zhang Yi, and finding themselves in a dilemma. Zhou Qi thought about it for a moment, then walked over to Zhang Yi, wrapped her arm around his arm, and stared into his eyes. The two looked at each other, and through Zhang Yi's eyes, Zhou Qi nodded very firmly. I believe Zhang Yi. They were the people who had spent the most time together after the apocalypse, and Zhou Qi understood Zhang Yi better than anyone else. Miss Zhou, you. Kangda looked innocent. But Zhou Qi said to everyone, don't forget. This is an era where all kinds of strange supernatural powers are rampant. So, theoretically speaking, it's not surprising that someone has the ability to disrupt other people's memories. And I am certain of one thing, that is, no matter what, I will always stand firmly by Zhang Yi's side. I'm going to say something that might offend some people. Even in my memory, everyone here is a very good partner. But as long as Zhang Yi believes that you are false partners, I will turn my sword against you. Everyone's expressions were complicated, but they understood what Zhou Qi meant. Zhang Yi had always been the source of their team. As the strongest among them, Zhang Yi was undoubtedly the most trustworthy because he had no reason to deceive anyone. At that moment, Yang Xinxin also spoke up. My brother is right. There is definitely something wrong with Kangda. Yang Xinxin stared at Kangda, her dark pupils unruffled. They had no intention of controlling Kangda. Because Zhang Yi had already locked onto him. The second hand of time could predict his every move within 4 seconds, including escape. Brother just did the same test on me, right? She smiled at Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi nodded, that's right. Kangda sighed deeply, Zhang Yi, why do you have to doubt your companions? From beginning to end, we've been with you through thick and thin, risking our lives, and we've never done anything to betray you. Zhang Yi looked at him coldly and explained indifferently, ever since we entered the Demon's Eye, I've felt an extremely strong sense of unease. First of all, after we entered the Demon's Eye, we were attacked repeatedly. Even if we were unlucky, we shouldn't have been that unlucky, right? Any mistake would have meant certain death. But later, when we encountered the Crow of Doom and the Dragon Corpse, I realized that the Lord of the Netherworld didn't actually have any intelligence. They are the embodiment of various instincts that split off from Mammon's dreams. They only act according to their instincts. Then why would such beings appear on our path in an ambush? Kangda countered, maybe it's the mechanism here. When we entered the Demon's Eye, we made too much noise and attracted the attention of the Lord of the Netherworld.